Wow, what a race we just witnessed at Talladega. Carson Hocevar just turned one of the craziest, messiest, most Talladega races you will ever see into the first Cup Series win of his life, while Bubba Wallace found himself right in the middle of the wreck that changed the entire day. And the wild part is that still does not cover everything, because this race had all of it. It had early strategy games. It had the big one swallowing up 26 cars. It had surviving the final sprint to the line. It had one of the most viral celebrations of the year. And then after all of that, it ended with a surprise call from Cleetus McFarland that honestly made the whole moment even better. So today, we are going to break this down properly. We are going to go through how the race went from the start, how the big one exploded with Bubba Wallace at the center of it, how Carson Hocevar created history, why that celebration instantly blew up online, what Cleetus told him after the race, and then how the NASCAR world and the drivers themselves reacted when it was all over. Let's start with the race itself, because Talladega had a strange energy before the green flag even dropped. Qualifying got rained out, so Tyler Reddick started on pole and Kyle Larson lined up second by the rulebook. NASCAR had also adjusted the stage lengths to try and clean up the Superspeedway product, which meant everybody came in talking about whether this would finally look more like pure racing and less like a fuel mileage chess match. It kind of did, and it kind of absolutely did not. The opening stage still had a lot of patience in it. Teams were splitting strategies, some trying to stretch it, others pitting earlier, and the front kept shuffling as groups committed to their own manufacturer plans. Ryan Preece ended up winning stage 1 ahead of Brad Keselowski and Joey Logo, while Rake still managed stage points despite the chaos that came with pit road penalties and off-sequence strategy. It felt like the race was loading tension into a spring. You could just tell the calm part was not going to last. Then came stage 2, and that is where Talladega fully became Talladega. Ross Chastain and Bubba Wallace were up front. The pack was wound tight. The field was racing hard, and once the aggression rose, there was almost no room for error. At lap 115, Chastain got to Bubba's rear bumper at the end of the backstretch. The contact turned Wallace sideways, and the entire field basically drove into a wall of smoke and wrecked race cars. Now, this is where the conversation gets tricky, because the title of the story for a lot of fans will be that Bubba Wallace was involved in causing the big one. And yes, Bubba was the car that got turned and started the chain reaction in front of the pack. But if we are being fair, the shove that triggered it came from Ross Chastain. Wallace himself still took the high road afterward and basically put the burden on his own team to learn from it. He said they had to figure out how to be pushed better, which tells you everything about how he handled it. He could have gone nuclear. Instead, he owned his side of it and moved on. That wreck absolutely nuked the race for a massive list of contenders. Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, Kyle Larson, Bubba Wallace, Cole Custer, Ty Gibbs, William Byron, and several others either had their day destroyed on the spot or spent the rest of the afternoon buried in damage control. Talladega does that. Half the field can look alive 1 second and completely finish the next. And once that crash happened, the whole race changed from a full field battle into a survival contest, with track positions suddenly meaning everything. Even after that, the craziness was not done. Chastain still won stage 2. Ty Gibbs later hit the wall after cutting a tire from crash damage, and the final stage became this brutal 2-lane gridlock where nobody behind the front row could really make a clean move stick. That is one reason so many drivers came out of this race sounding frustrated. Ryan Blaney basically summed up the whole Talladega product by saying, "We are either fuel saving or we are running all over each other." And honestly, that is about as clean and accurate a summary as you can get. Then the race flipped one more time, with the finish getting close. Tyler Reddick bounced off the wall and brought out another caution. And after that, the field reset for one last push. Carson Hocevar and Chris Buescher ended up controlling the front of the pack in that final stretch. And the decisive caution before the shootout came when Ricky Stenhouse Jr. got into Hocevar, which sent Hocevar down into Eric Jones and forced another yellow. That set up the final 3-lap dash. And from that moment on, it was finally Hocevar's chance. On the restart, Hocevar got exactly what he needed: control at the front and help from behind. He got pushed forward, stayed clear when it mattered. And then once the white flag came out, he was in the one position every Talladega driver wants, but almost nobody ever gets to hold cleanly out front in clean air with the field scrambling behind him. By the time the last lap crash froze the order, Carson Hocevar had done it. First Cup win, 91st start, Talladega, Chris Buescher 2nd, Alex Bowman 3rd, Chase Elliott 4th, Zane Smith 5th. That is history. And it moved Hocevar up to 8th in the standings. And to me, that is what made this feel bigger than just another Superspeedway upset. This was not some random rain call. This was not a lucky fuel fluke. This was a young driver who had taken heat, had lost races, had made mistakes, and finally put together the one moment that every driver dreams about. Hoser said, "This is the biggest dream I've ever thought of," and you could hear in his voice that this one hit different. Before we get to the celebration and the Cleetus moment, quick pause right here. If you are enjoying this breakdown and you want more NASCAR stories like this every single week, hit like, share this video, and subscribe to NASCAR Central. We are pushing toward 4,000 subs on this new channel, and 100 likes on this video would seriously help. Now, let's get to the part that made this feel instantly iconic, the celebration. Because Carson Hocevar did not just win, he made sure nobody was going to forget it. He climbed halfway out of the car, sat on the doors, rolled through the front stretch so he could take in the crowd, bumped the wall, and then lit it up with a burnout that looked like it was made for social media. This was not some standard stop at the line and wave deal. This was Carson making sure his first win felt like a movie scene. And afterward, he explained why he did it in a way that honestly made the whole thing land even harder. He said he had been thinking about it for a while and wanted to take it all in. Because for him, this was not just a checkered flag. It was the moment he had been visualizing for years. He talked about soaking in every second, hearing the crowd and making sure the fans could actually see him seeing them. That is part of why the reaction was so loud. It did not feel manufactured. It felt like a kid living out the exact dream he used to imagine. Then came the surprise call from Cleetus McFarland. And this is where the whole thing crossed over into one of those moments fans genuinely love. It was just day before yesterday when on the same track we saw how Carson Hocevar was the one cheering for Cleetus when he missed his first ARCA race win by just a whisker. Hocevar was the one who went running to Cleetus to congratulate him. And how was Cleetus going to miss when his buddy won his first ever Cup Series race? While Hocevar was still doing press, NASCAR mic'd up the call and Cleetus jumped in to congratulate him. Cleetus told him, "I knew it was coming. I knew you were going to do it." Hocevar fired right back with love, thanking him and saying, "You're going to win one soon." That exchange was short, but it felt real and fans ate it up immediately. What I liked about that moment is that it showed how much crossover energy there is around these guys right now. Cleetus also uploaded a clip of his raw emotional reaction when he was watching Hocevar pull off the last lap stretch. Here is how he reacted. "He's got it. He's got it. He's got it. Let's go." Hocevar has become one of the most talked about young Cup drivers because he is raw, emotional, flawed, fast, and impossible to ignore. Cleetus is obviously this massive internet personality who has also started earning real respect in stock car circles. So, when those two connect in a post-run moment like that, it does not feel forced. It feels like the modern version of NASCAR culture happening right in front of you. And the reaction from around the garage told you this was not just a feel-good headline. Alex Bowman said Hocevar deserved it and added that Talladega was a perfect place for him to get that first win. Chase Elliott, after finishing 4th, admitted the final run gave him almost no options, saying it was tough to do anything. That matters because it tells you Hocevar did exactly what the front row car needed to do in that situation. He got control, protected the lane, and made it impossible for the guys behind him to create a better move. The bigger reaction from drivers, though, was aimed at the racing itself. Joey Logano came out of this race frustrated with the Superspeedway package and called the cars round bumpers and unstable cars, basically saying the pushing game has become too easy to start and too hard to control. Blayie echoed the same frustration after getting wiped out. And Elliott talked about how impossible it felt to form a third lane late. So while Hocevar absolutely deserves full credit for winning, the garage also walked away from Talladega feeling like the product is still living on the edge between strategy paralysis and total destruction. Then there is the team side of it, and that might be the most important long-term part of this story. Spire Motorsports has been building towards something for a while now, and this felt like the first real proof point that they are not just hanging around hoping for plate luck. Team co-owner Jeff Dickerson made it clear this win felt different from the organization's old Raynaughton Daytona victory. He said this one was settled on the racetrack and then followed it with the bigger message. "We are not done." That is not a team acting like they stole one. That is a team acting like this is the beginning. And Hocevar himself sounds like somebody who believes exactly that. He talked after the race about how he and Dickerson joke that they are in the video game, which honestly is one of the best ways I have heard any driver describe that mix of confidence and disbelief. He also made it clear this win was not a shock inside that building. They expected it eventually. They believed they were building toward it. That kind of self-belief matters when a young driver is still learning publicly and a growing team is still trying to become a real contender. So, what is the final takeaway here for Bubba Wallace? This is another brutal Talladega what if? Another day where speed and track position turned into garage damage in seconds. For the rest of the field, this was a reminder that Talladega still produces chaos faster than almost any place on the schedule. But for Carson Hoser, this was the day everything changed. He is not the guy who almost wins anymore. He is not just the loud young driver with raw talent anymore. He is a NASCAR Cup Series winner. And he did it at one of the hardest, wildest, most pressure-filled tracks in sport. So subscribe to NASCAR Central for more breaking NASCAR news. Wild Talladega reactions, driver controversy, replacements, rivalries, crashes, and the biggest stories from around the garage. Drop a like. Let me know in the comments. Was this the moment Carson Hoser truly arrived?